What is good, everyone? Welcome into another episode of Ain't No Seats. We're here to talk about the Kansas Jayhawks going into a environment that they usually struggle in Stillwater, and they shit pump the Oklahoma State Cowboys 90-66. All five starters for KU scored in double figures. Johnny Furphy, we will talk about.
The Furf dog.
Anthony Bax, let the
Yes.
people hear your nasally voice and give us a take on how you're feeling about the Hawks right now.
Yeah, I'm playing hurt today. I feel fine. I feel 100% fine. I've never been so stuffed up in my entire life, and I sound like shit, and I'm sniffling every 2 seconds. So if any of that comes across, I'm sorry. Hawks might be back. Johnny Furphy. I tweeted this during the UCF game. Like, maybe he just is the answer to every question I have about this team. And now I think I'm actually kind of serious about it. Like, there's been 2 big changes over the last week with KU hoops. One of which is Furphy playing significantly more and like being aggressive. But the other one, and I don't know if this is being talked about much, but I've just noticed it. I feel like the last 2 games, OU and Oklahoma State tonight, they've really made an emphasis on getting the ball out quick and like trying to get as many fast break, transition points as possible. And maybe that's the answer. We all knew Bill's going to figure it out at some point. But, I mean, they've been scoring. They've been scoring, and they've been playing quick, and it's rebound, quick outlets in midcourt, and hope you get a quick layup. If not, take your chances with half court, which I know we're usually confident in Bill with, but we've talked about the issues we have with this team as far as the skill sets go. But if you get out quick, it might solve everything.
Yeah, and there's no one better after a loss than Bill Self. Like, obviously, KU fans hate losing, and the meltdowns are crazy on social media, but Bill Self is so good at adjusting, and they've looked tremendous since Johnny Furphy started. The spacing's way better. It led to a lot of buckets for Hunter. He was 9 for 14, 21-7, ho-hum night for him. He pretty much does that every night. But yeah, it changes the whole complexion for the entire team from a spacing standpoint. Offensively, it's going to take a ton of pressure off the All-Americans that we've talked about. We've talked about this since first game of the season. I feel like KU needs a 5th guy, and seems like, I'm not saying Furphy's going to be solidified like stud rest of the year, but it seems like they've figured out who that 5th guy is, and that's really all they've needed because we've talked about how consistent the other 4 starters are.
For sure. We just needed one guy to come in and do it. And it's perfect because his skill set's the one thing that this team didn't have, which was a shooter to spread the floor. This is very off topic with what you just said, but I was doing some math on it. Can we kill the narrative that we struggle at Oklahoma State? I've got numbers to back this up.
Okay. I wanted to say, I heard the announcers say that Bill is 13-14 in his career between Morgantown and Stillwater. I don't know if that's correct. We went through the losses last episode. Obviously, 08-10. I think there was 17-18. There's been a few, but yeah, I want to hear these numbers.
So I was looking back, and I noticed tonight they had a little on the score bug. It said that KU had won 10 of the last 11 meetings between KU and Oklahoma State. So I went back and looked. They lost there once in 2021, and that KU team was interesting to say the least. But the 5 wins in that 6-year stretch at Oklahoma State, they've won by a combined an average of 13.2 points in each of those. And one of those games, they only won by 5. The last 4 times we've won at Oklahoma State have been by double digits, very comfortable, just like tonight. Like, I know early in his career there were losses to Oklahoma State. That's when that place was buzzing. Like, Gallagher-Iba, and I actually got sad tonight watching this. Gallagher-Iba used to be an awesome place to watch a college basketball game on your TV. You got Big Monday, Texas at Oklahoma State. It was so sick. You'd have Doug Gottlieb tweeting out that it was like the best arena in college basketball.
Backwards
this and that. This place is just a dump now. No one shows up. They can barely get it half full when KU's in town. What are they doing in the other game? It's like, it honestly is sad. Like, it really is to see like traditional programs. Like, I mean, we saw with Indiana. At least Indiana got up for that game, and they get up for big games still. Oklahoma State, man, golly.
Sitting there picturing you sad, looking at Gallagher-Iba.
I was bummed. Like, how many memories do you have when you were a child? Like, 8 years old, and you flip on Big Monday with Dick Vitale, and Keaton Page is still on the bench, and who was the white guy before him?
Well, they had Phil Forte after.
Forte, that's who it was. So it was just those 2 back to back. Yeah,
just bombing threes.
But I don't know. Like, they had that Final Four team was 04.
Yeah, the Grand
really solid teams, and then it's like once Marcus Smart left, they just disappeared. They had that year with Cade Cunningham, and they were pretty decent, but
Did Marcus Smart ever play in Allen Fieldhouse?
he did. He won there once, actually, did a backflip and got the whole
Oh,
town of Lawrence, Kansas, and the surrounding areas to fucking hate his guts for the last decade.
let's talk about KU defensively because,
Yeah.
well, honestly, at UCF they only give up 65 points. UCF
Mhm.
stinks. I still don't know how they lost that game, but I think it could have been a good thing. Bill rips their ass. Now they look elite again. But yeah, so they give up 65 to UCF. I guess we can factor that in, but they get a ranked opponent at Allen on Saturday against OU. They go 24 for 60, 40% from the field, 66 points. And then Oklahoma State tonight, 21 for 53, 39%, 66 points again. So KU, they've given up 65 and a half points the last 3 games in league play, which that'll do. I know OSU stinks. They are winless in the league, 0-4. Bryce Thompson, we love you. That's
scored 20 tonight.
One of their best players. He got a face full of nuts, I believe, from Nick Timberlake, which that's one of the better dunks I've seen from a KU player for a while.
It didn't even look like it went in. I was so confused when it happened. Like, did he go over? Did it go like under the rim? But no, just went right.
I was driving in the lovely negative 10-degree weather to go get food, and Brian Haney and Greg Gurley nearly had aneurysms after that dunk. So I didn't even see it, but I guess I acted like I did and tweeted out a bunch of emojis in all caps Timberlakes when I didn't even see it. But then I see the replay, and yeah, it was an elite dunk. Some are saying Timberlake is back. Just kidding, but hopefully get knocked down. But yeah, the starters were obviously incredible. I mean, Furphy, 15 points in the first half, and we've talked about that with Furphy too, about how hard he plays. Like he gets in, like his head's cut off, just plays hard. I believe he ended up with 7 rebounds. I don't know how many he had at half, but he was tied with Hunter for the most rebounds on the night. And then Kev, 18, 6, and 8. DeJuan had 11. KJ, 8 for 10 from the floor, 16 points, caught a nasty oop. Furphy was boarding, blocking shots. How are you feeling about this team right now compared to how we felt against UCF last week?
I feel pretty good. I don't want to be too reactionary. I feel like that's when everything goes wrong. But like I was mentioning before, it just feels like a different team when Furphy's out there. He's not afraid to shoot the ball, and that's all I'm asking for. Just someone that it's not going to make them all, obviously. If you made 40% of them, we'd be thrilled. But just keep the guys honest on defense. Like, that's all we're asking for. They're going to guard him a lot tighter than they're going to guard Kevin McCullough or DeJuan Harris and just Marco Jackson. Like, God, man, this is bad.
Sick.
Yeah, no, it just like I can't even speak without snorting my ass out. Exactly.
I thought I lost you and Rye today. Rye didn't tweet about the game. He doesn't text back in the group chat about going on the episode. Still hasn't said anything, some are saying. And then quotes my tweet casually with a bunch of punctuations that we laughed about, a bunch of periods about just being in Vegas. And we still haven't heard from him. He's not in here. So I'm glad both of you are alive. We confirmed Rye is alive. Jose Rodriguez at 10:19 just said, most complete game of the season from beginning to end, ? I was going to ask you that. I know we've played some mid-majors, some shittier teams, I guess. Kentucky comes to mind. I know we were trailing by double digits at some point in that game. That was one where the big three, I guess, if you count Juan, Hunter, Kev, and Juan scored a ton of points. Would you say this is the most complete game from KU? They scored 90 points against a Big 12 opponent on the road.
Yeah, it has to be.
62% from the floor.
We knew it was going to come at some point, right? Like, I don't know. I kind of wish Ryan was here and he wasn't dead in Vegas, having his people he presented to, like, sending out text and tweets, not sounding like him. But he's been saying it, and we didn't listen. I said we were going to go undefeated in January. They were going to have a bad loss this month. They did. Looks like they figured some things out. They've got a nice little stretch to work on that before the bad part comes. And you got Houston, which, by the way, we'll get to Houston in a minute.
Oh, boy.
We're going to have to talk about Houston at some point.
I mean, go ahead.
Well, yeah, it's just I don't even have much to say. Like, I still think they're good. I still think they're, like, probably a very serious competitor to win the Big 12 this year. The games against them are going to be absolute battles. But it's just so poetic to see it happen where literally their first 2 road games in a major conference, they lose them both. Like, just like we all expected, they were beaten up on these stains in the American and their BS non-conference they play every year.
Competitive losses.
Yeah, like they only lose by 2. Well, good news for them. They lost by 4 points and 1 point. So when it comes to that in March, that'll be helpful. But yeah, I don't know. They'll win tomorrow, and when they win tomorrow,
Who do they have tomorrow?
They're at Tech. Or no, they're not at Tech. Excuse me, they're at home against Tech.
Did I hear 8 Big 12 teams are in the polls? 7 or 8?
8 are in the polls, and assuming Houston can handle Texas Tech tomorrow, there's no undefeated teams left in the Big 12.
Oh, so they have Tech at home.
Yeah.
Tech just beat K-State just had a nice win in Manhattan against Baylor. I know maybe you might want to save your takes on that one, but
no, I don't know much to say.
K-State lost at Tech this weekend. Tech Lubbock is always a tough place to play. Always reminds me of good old DT Graham hitting that runner that spun around the rim for an hour.
That was a good one,
yeah, that'll be a tough game. I don't know. They obviously everyone kind of knows what Houston is. They don't have a ton of scorers. Obviously, LJ Cryer is their leading scorer. I don't think he's like an elite guard. I think he's a good guard. But they don't have elite scores. I know they're really nasty defensively. They can rebound. Could be an ugly game, but we can muddy it up as well. I mean, I just talked about us defensively. Ken Palm wise, we're top 10 at least. Offensively, maybe we might move a little bit. Ken Pomeroy might move us.
Yeah, I'm refreshing this page rapidly, waiting for the results. Can I say one thing? We've seen a couple Furphy comments. I asked you about this before we got on here. Are we sure he's back next year? I know that might sound crazy. He started 3 games. But like I was saying to you, this guy's a 6'9" freak athlete that shoots the shit out of the ball. There are NBA GMs that would do anything for that kind of prototype skill set, body. I'm just saying, I don't think it's crazy that Johnny Furphy could be a one and done. Especially with all the comments we heard when he was coming from Australia that he was better than Josh Giddey, and he seems to be well respected around the world. I'm sure everyone knows who he is at this point. It may be like a Kelly Oubre thing where he has a handful of good games. Yeah, he was.
Comments? Wow, I didn't see that.
Which could have been from McCullough too, because he's been floating around 15, 20.
Well, the draft class is very weak from people. I don't pay attention a ton, but I've heard it's pretty weak. But yeah, you were just talking about it. I was fortunate enough to go to Puerto Rico for the tournament or whatever that was, the exhibition games this off season where they played against some pros and had no idea what to expect from Furphy. Obviously, he was getting recruited by some big schools, some of the bigger schools in the country. He comes here. I didn't know a ton, hadn't seen him play really. So I didn't really think he was going to play. And I get to talking to some of the guys around the team and just trying to get some info on him, see what this dude's about. And they're everyone was like, dude, he's going to play this year. It's there's no way. This team's so deep. I thought Terrio obviously was going to be on the team. He was going to start at 2. I didn't, but when Bill came out and said it after Puerto Rico, he was like, Johnny Furphy is going to play this year. And kind of just shocked me. But yeah, I was talking to someone out there and they were saying Australian people that cover hoops in Australia say he's the best to come out of Australia. He's better than Josh Giddey. Josh Giddey went top 10 pick in the draft to OKC.
Andrew Bogut was the number 1 overall pick. Was he not Australian? Or am I making that up completely?
Bogut.
Wait, Summers.
We got to tweet that video. But they were saying people in Australia think he could be better than Josh Giddey and the best to come out of Australia. And yeah, someone just said it. He impacts the game in so many ways. He wasn't just scoring tonight. Super active on the boards. He had a block shot that led to a run out layup for KU. He was really good. I know he didn't score in the second half. We talked about that. Kind of reminds me of Grady last year, where Grady would literally have 15, 20-point halves and then goose egg the next, which you can live with. But man, he could change the entire complexion of this season. I think he took me from last week. It's tough to predict March. You can't just sit there and say this team's going to get knocked out early. This team's going to go deep. It's a single elimination, one and done format. I'm not going to say they're going deep or they're not, but I think he could be the X factor of potentially helping KU go to a national title game, or like just making a Final Four. You know what I'm saying? Like go on a deep run. We know we have 3 consistent starters, fourth and Juan, who we know what we're getting from him. He's going to dime. He's taking care of the ball since UCF. He's going to defend. So we've needed that 5th guy, and Johnny Furphy is exactly who that is.
Got a breaking news developing story coming up.
I saw your face.
.com/team.php ?
There was a comment in the chats.
No, the results are in. KU's up to number 32 on offense. They're 9th on defense, 15th overall. That's the biggest jump I've seen after a win this year. It makes sense coming off just a demolishing. We just put them in a toilet and flushed them down. But yeah, they looked great. I don't know what I'm saying, man. I gotta go to sleep.
Toilet story.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to take so much pressure off Hunter and Kev. Not that they're feeling the pressure, but it's obviously 2 All-Americans that are averaging 20 a game. They're getting a ton of attention. We talked about Hunter kind of getting doubled in the post some games, which obviously could affect him. But you got a guy like Furphy who can just stroke it, but you have to pay attention to him. And obviously Hunter's going to get better looks now. I know Furphy caught one in the corner, elite post entry to Hunter. He finished. So it's going to open up stuff for everyone. And KJ will be able to roam, do what he does, crash the offensive glass. Another breaking news, KJ Adams hit a, 15, 16-footer tonight?
A couple of them, I think. He hit one in the first half pretty early. And then I was kind of like half watching the second half, but I saw you and a couple other people tweet about KJ shooting a mid-range. So maybe it happened twice.
Another one I pretended that I watched, but I heard Brian Haney going nuts on the radio.
Brian Haney.
Oh
my God.
Do you have?
I don't have much else on the basketball team.
I want to say, let's talk about one of the biggest stories in the history of Kansas athletics.
That's not even exaggerating that much, I don't think.
Lance Leipold being coveted by the University of Washington football program just this week. Or this weekend, I don't even remember. The Chiefs game Saturday. Yeah, did crazy things to me. I had no idea it was going on. I guess rumors had started Saturday night. I sit in that miserable cold Saturday, Sunday. I have nothing to worry about. Wake up late, obviously. Have no clue what's going on. Look at my phone. I mean, good Lord. Meltdown City, a bunch of texts from people I haven't talked to in forever, and think like I had no clue this was going on. I had no clue Washington was after Lance, but Washington obviously played in the national championship game last week against Michigan. They lost that game, but Lance flat out turns down Washington to stay at Kansas, a program that he took over that was winless. He's 2 winning seasons in a row. The fact that he stayed just shows how much he loves the community, how much or how loyal of a guy he is. And like, I just can't explain how happy I am to have him as the head coach at Kansas. And I've just been thinking about it all day. It was the perfect storm for KU. That offseason, KU was the only Power 5 job that was open. And it came down to Munkin and Leipold. They couldn't have gone wrong either way. But the due diligence Travis Goff did, it's just incredible. And I hope he's the AD at KU forever. It's the best football hire in KU history, football-wise. And I hope he's here for 10, 20 years, Lance Leipold. And also, we got to talk Jed Fish to Washington.
Big
affects next year a lot.
Arizona not as big as I thought, though, because when I saw Fish was going, I assumed their quarterback.
But long
term for sure. Next
because
year they might still be good, but
we've been talking about it for a while now. Who are going to be the best football programs at the top of the Big 12? We talked Utah, Whittingham, great head coach. K-State, Kleiman, great head coach. Avery Johnson's going to be a stud. Like they kept Avery Johnson and just said Will Howard go to Ohio State. Like that's Avery Johnson's going to be a stud. Oklahoma State has Gundy, and then Matt Campbell and Ames. So those, I mean, odds-wise in Vegas to win the Big 12 title next year, where do you think KU will be?
5th, probably.
What? Dude, we're going to be ranked.
Are we?
Why not? We're
I
in a
don't
lot of
know. I mean,
people's early top 25s. Everyone's back besides Book.
yeah, we were last year too, and then we didn't even get votes in the preseason AP poll this year. It feels like even
Who were
when
the
we
four
have been
teams?
good,
Arizona,
K-State
Utah, K-State, Okie
and
State?
Okie State or Iowa State or maybe even both. It's nothing. I don't think that's accurate in my minds, and obviously I'm a homer, so I will probably sound very biased here. I think they should be top 3, but I don't know. We see it every week, even against
The history.
teams that were better. Like the lines don't make a lot of sense on a week to week thing. Like against UCF, wasn't it like a pick 'em?
If we didn't have this
Barely
history
favored.
since
Like
Mangino left,
yeah,
then what would you think would be?
probably 3rd or 4th. I just don't know
So
how much. And I
Rising
don't
will be
know.
back.
Yeah, I
K-State.
think K-State and Utah are for sure top 2. We'll see how Fish leaving affects it, but I would think Arizona with Mayata, is that his name? Quarterback.
Jordan
If he stays like it sounds like he's going to,
Peterson
they'd
bomb
probably be
in
top 3.
the comments.
Hey, he's not
Pete
wrong.
bomb. All the
He's not
receivers are
wrong.
back. Lawrence Arnold, Quentin Skinner, Luke Grimm, obviously Dev, Highshaw. Some are saying JD is back and he is not going to USC or UCLA. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
And
We'll
then
see
they
if he's
lose.
back or
They
not,
lose
but
Austin Booker. They return the corners that we were nervous about losing. Yes,
lose some
JD.
O-line. O-line's going to be pretty fresh, but they're getting transfers coming in. I'm not going to act like I know anything about the guys that they've brought in through the portal, but sounds like we got a starting offensive guard, a center as well from North Dakota State, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yes. Justin Lindsley at 10:30 in the comments says he's a little concerned about Michigan calling. Harbaugh probably to the NFL. I'm hearing the Chargers.
Falcons interviewed him tonight too.
Really?
Yeah.
Bri is very confident that Belichick is going to the Falcons.
Yeah,
That's an attractive job. Like that, you got Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Bijan. If they get a quarterback in there,
he was on that a few weeks ago, wasn't he? And people called him silly, and now it's happening.
Oh,
it looks like it's certainly possible.
Braden Renfro, Deshaun Warner has me excited. Absolutely.
Did you see what?
He was in Lawrence for KU, K-State. Instead of he got invited to Michigan, Ohio State at the Big House, turned it down. Told the staff he's signed 2 weeks later.
Hell yeah. I don't know. I feel like if Harbaugh leaves, aren't they just going to promote the OC? I mean, he coached 6 games there this year, or at least the last 3. No.
I heard he's going to become the next head coach.
Sharon Moore, or whatever his name is. It just feels like that would make sense. But I don't know. That program's going to be a lot different next year that everyone's leaving.
Harbaugh's 100% gone, right?
I don't know. I heard something today that, I think it's expected that he's going to leave, but I don't know that I'd be surprised if he comes back. Michigan's trying to do this massive, massive offer, and a story came out today that Harbaugh, one of his requests was that they couldn't fire him due to the scandal coming out, or not coming out, but whatever just happened the last few months with the signs and everything, Connor Stallions. So I think they're definitely still talking. It wouldn't surprise me if he stayed, but also it's what more could he do at Michigan? He's changed the whole rivalry. He's won a national championship, won the conference 3 years in a row.
At this point, what job would Leipold leave for? We talked about Nebraska. We talked about Wisconsin, Washington, who just went to the national title game, and they're going to the Big Ten, which I guess could attract Leipold even more. He's from Wisconsin, Big Ten country. They just played the national title game. What job is Leipold going to leave for? I'm not trying to be a homer, but maybe he's just a guy that wanted to coach at a Power 5. No disrespect to Buffalo, but they're obviously not that. He got to the Power 5. He showed he can win at that level. And we just talked about the teams that are going to be in the Big 12. Maybe he's sitting back thinking, I can build this crazy program at Kansas and I can be near the top of the Big 12 every year instead of going to the Big 10 where you're going to have, already Michigan, Ohio State, and then think of all the other schools. OU and Texas are leaving the league. I think maybe he's just content being at a Power 5. He knows he can win here. He's already doing that. And he just loves Lawrence and the community.
Yeah, I don't know how many of these schools have offered him, but he's certainly been brought up in the conversations for now Michigan State, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Washington. And he hadn't taken any of them. And again, I don't know which ones he was offered. It sounded like Washington offered it to him, or at least really, really liked him. If that's the case, I can't even put into words how awesome that is for KU football, dude.
I wish I could. I wish I could.
Like, imagine 5 years. I know we say this all the time. Imagine 5 years ago if we said that KU football had a coach that the defending national runner-up wanted to hire because their coach left for a bigger job, and the KU football coach said no. Like, that would have been a joke that would have gotten retweeted by other fan bases laughing and making fun of us, like every other prediction that we have is wrong. That's just, it really is, like, honestly, it's really cool because this program was like, it dragged us down personally so often. Like, it was just, we got numb to it. It was every year we were expecting 2-10 would be an okay year, and now it's like, yeah, our head coach is saying no to national championship runner-ups all of a sudden. Like, it's fucking sick.
I mean, where does this program go back to if Leipold takes that Washington job this weekend?
I didn't even like.
How depressed are we? Like, even like if Leipold leaves in a couple of years, or if he ever leaves, like obviously it'll be sad, but just leaving some stability. I know they made a bowl game and stuff, but I obviously think he can take it to a different level, maybe groom someone else to be the next head coach here. But God, that's just major depression. And I wish I could like describe the feeling I saw when Lance dropped that bomb on Twitter. Like, I'm convinced, dude, because like you said, 5 years ago, if you say that, team that just played in the national title game, made the playoff, beat Texas, made it to the title game, he turns that job down. Like, there's no way. I was convinced he's leaving. I think he's just the most loyal MFer in the world. And I love him, and I hope he's here until he wants to be done coaching and Kansas starts making college football playoff appearances, starts playing in Big 12 title games. I don't see why not, because we laid it out. The teams in the league, they can absolutely do it. They could have competed for Big 12 title this year. Team that made the title game, Oklahoma State, they went into Stillwater with backup quarterback, probably should have won that game. And then every other loss besides Texas, we've talked about it already, but K-State, you muff a punt. Texas Tech, you're inside the 5 with a true freshman, former walk-on in the last 2 games. So he's already shown he can do it. It's going to get crazier.
Where do you think they would have gone if he did go? Like, do you have any names at all that would come to mind? Like, would they call Andy? Is that an actual thing? Is it like – because to me, I didn't even want to think about it. But shit, man. But I don't know. I can't go much longer. I'm about to like.
No, yeah, you're good. So, I just wanted to say, like, the commitment Travis Goff has shown to the football program is a massive reason he stayed. Obviously, the new stadium's coming. They've done everything Lance has asked, I'm sure, and they're going to pay him what he wants. And hopefully he's a lifer at Kansas. Hopefully we have him and Bill Self and Lawrence for the next decade or so and just win a shit ton of sporting events, be elite at every sport. Anthony Bax says he's dying, so we'll probably wrap this up.
One more thing before we go. We're up to 13 all of a sudden, Ken Pond. Crawling up, baby, crawling up.
Saturday in Morgantown. Quick prediction from you. I know you felt good about these games, so give you props. Stillwater, I thought it would be tight. They blow them out 90-66. How are you feeling about the game Saturday?
I think they beat West Bob by 15 plus. Right. I don't know if it's like tonight where it's a blowout from literally the first 65 seconds of the game. Boynton's already calling a timeout. It's that big of a blowout. Yeah, just tough. I don't know if it's that dominant, but I think it's one of those games where they're up 6-8 majority of the first 20-30 minutes, and then the final.
When's he getting canned?
Today's the 16th of January. Let's see. I would honestly guess 2 months from yesterday. That would be the Friday of the Big 12 tournament. That gives them 2 days. Gives them 3 days post look, so maybe even earlier than that. But I think he's going to be gone. Someone just said, "Let's go to Morgantown." Are you going to pull the Morgantown Buffalo back to back?
I'm still trying to plan the Buffalo trip. Chiefs Bills. I getting conflicting weather reports for that one. I've seen a lot of people say more feet of snow and the game could be rescheduled. I've seen people say it's going to be like -3 at kickoff. So I don't know if I'm
looking this up.
someone tweeted that the Bills aren't gonna practice this week. Might not be able to practice because they can't get to practice.
I don't believe them.
I mean, me either.
I mean, definitely it's negative. Why is my shit in Celsius? What? That can't be right.
Where
I
are
don't
you
know.
from?
Australia.
Studs are born there. From there.
It looks like it's going to snow all week, but Sunday it's just going to be very cold and cloudy.
Do I walk out of that stadium alive if the Chiefs win?
This is crazy. Everything's in centimeters and Celsius, and she's like, "What is going on?" But yeah, you should go. That'd be crazy.
Cold up here and lots of snow. Is that New York? I'm assuming.
It looked like it's going to snow literally every day this week, and then Sunday would be clear. But I guess practice-wise, that could hurt. You'd hate to see it. But that's going to be it for me.
Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys being in here. Thanks for the comments. Saturday, maybe we'll go live if it's a good game. There's 2 NFL games Saturday, so I don't know if we'll go live.
What time are we?
I don't even know, but who do we play after West Virginia? I'm clearly locked in right now.
Let me just pull up the whole schedule so we can get answers to all of our questions. We go 3 o'clock. I honestly, here's a point that I'm going to make. I bet I watch more of the Texans-Ravens game than the KU West Virginia game. That's no offense to anyone. That's just, let's be honest here. After that, we have maybe our only Big Monday home game of the year.
You'll have 2 TVs up somewhere, so let's relax.
Maybe, but it's like
maybe.
I had
Cincinnati
one TV
at home.
I had nothing to do, and I didn't watch the second half.
Yeah, we need to win the next 2 because Ames is going to be tough. KU has Cincinnati at home on Big Monday. Cincinnati just won at home tonight against the Horned Frogs in overtime. K-State won in overtime as well. Heard they got a good whistle.
They're 10-0 in overtime under Tang, which is the most bananas stat in sports right now.
What?
Isn't that crazy?
Stop.
Tang hadn't even been there for a year and a half. He's 10-0.
He's 10-0.
That's crazy.
How many over?
That's like I feel like overtimes is a toss up, and Bill Self's probably got crazy overtime stats too that we mentioned already. His games that finish within 5 points or less, we always suck him off. 10-0 in overtime games is pretty crazy.
First off, how many games a year on average do you think a Power 5 even goes to overtime in a game?
Yeah, that's the thing. 10 of his 50 games. Okay. This is the last thing I'm going to say. I'm just curious about this math here. All right. So he's played 17 games this year. They played 36 games last year. That's 53. 10 games go to overtime out of the 53 games he's coached at K-State. That is insane. That's almost 20%, Jim.
Overteam?
Yep. All right.
Oates? Yeah. Jerome Tang 3-0 against Scotty Drew.
It's okay though, because they still both teams and coaching staffs huddled up with each other after the game and had a big circle jerk. So they're it's corny, man. Just honestly, think about if Kelvin Sampson and Bill Self got the boys together, just circle around midcourt and hang out after the game. Before the game, I get it. That happens in sports, I guess, but after the game just seems weird. I don't know. All right, I'm getting off before I say anything too stupid. My brain's negative.
Love you guys. Thank you for being in here. Hawks are back. God, they look good. The best they've looked all season. I don't care if Oklahoma State stinks. That is a building that a lot of teams struggle in. Pumped. They need to get it done in Morgantown. That's another place they've struggled. Big games coming up. Iowa State and Ames next Saturday. Can't wait to see how they progress. Johnny Furphy, future lottery pick. Some are saying this summer.
Yeah.
Love you guys. Thank you. Go buy an Ain't No Seats hoodie. They are soft Bella canvas, 52% cotton, 48% polyester. They are very soft, very comfortable, and we want you guys all repping the brand. That would be elite. If you want one, message us on Twitter
Twitter.
or something. Hopefully our DMs are open, but if you want one, just tweet at us. We'd love for you guys to rock them. It's pretty cold out, some are saying. Love you guys. Rock chalk.